Good morning, Bitcoin. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is Proof of Work. Proof of Work is a show about the people behind Bitcoin and how they got here. Today we're joined by John Carvalho. How's it going, John?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you doing?
Doing good. Always great to be in Amsterdam. Have you been here before? Is this your first time?
This is like my 5th time here.
Oh,
I've been here a lot,
nice.
yeah.
A veteran, yeah. A girl from Amsterdam yesterday, she told me, she's like, you seem very laid back here. You're not put off by all these things going around you. You must have been here before. I was like, yeah, I was here 3 weeks last time.
Yeah,
settled
you have to
into
get
it
used to the
pretty
whole
good.
bicycle experience.
Yeah, it's like there's in Vegas there's 6-lane roads, but that's all cars. In Amsterdam there's the bike lane, the road, and the other bike lane. So you're going essentially across 4 viscerate lanes of traffic, plus throw in a tram track or 2 in the middle. It seems pretty dangerous crossing the street.
And then
here.
there's the side streets where it's like bike and car
Yeah.
and walk.
Yep. Everything all together, no separations, and yet it all works out.
Yeah.
Everyone's very patient about it. The cars let the bikes have the right of way here, which is mind-blowing in the U.S. In the U.S., if you ride in front of a car, you're going to end up on the hood. Boom, on the hood. So no, they have a fantastic system here with the biking and everything. So we're going to go ahead and get started with everyone's most favorite and familiar question. What was your first computer?
So it depends on how you define a computer. My first like sort of desktop style computer was I think it was a Packard Bell. Mm-hmm. This was back in the early days of Prodigy Network and AOL.
CompuServe. Yeah.
It didn't even have, it was before CD-ROMs were normally included.
Nice.
So I remember installing my first CD-ROM myself, and I remember installing like when I got my 52K modem.
Yeah.
So this is back in the modem days. But even before that, my dad, for some reason, even though he's not like a super technical guy, he was kind of into having some of the earlier like gaming computers, like Texas Instruments. I had a Texas Instruments.
I had one
Hunt
too
the Wumpus and these games.
I don't remember the games, but I remember it was on the TV, and it was a Texas Instruments computer that plugged right into the TV,
mm-hmm.
and that was like the early computer we had before we had the Apple II.
Yeah. So I had that. I think we had some early Pong stuff, and so I had pretty early exposure to electronics that way.
Nice. Did you just play the games, or did you try to break them down and program them as well, or?
I messed around a little bit with like when I was younger with like QBasic and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I even took classes in high school for Pascal and you know, these older basic languages, and but I never really became a programmer. I picked up on it. The closest thing was maybe I did do some HTML for a while and maybe a little bit of CSS, but my focus was in the design side of things. So I was more interested in like graphic design, and you know, on when it came to the point where we were finally making websites, I was more like using like Dreamweaver and stuff like this.
Sure. It has a visual way of seeing HTML, and you could preview your code really quickly.
Yeah, and I always found programming to be like too tedious for me. Like I need more feedback. I'm more interactive, and so sitting there and really coding something through, I just don't have the patience for it.
Yeah,
I wish I did.
HTML and CSS are more of a display language. I was always making little tweaks, seeing what it looks like, little tweaks, and through that, I could make a web page, or I could make anything like that. But I go through programming and actually following it through, breaking all the steps down, writing all the functions. Yeah, it's a whole nother world.
Yeah. I can maybe like hack some CSS with Inspect and Chrome or whatever when I want to do something, but that's about it. I prefer somebody else to do the coding.
So you didn't study programming in college? What else did you study?
I did study. I took. I believe I took a JavaScript class, and I withdrew from it because it was just not. I just couldn't focus on it.
I had the same thing with assembly language. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just had to walk away.
I ended up focusing more on marketing-related classes.
Nice.
I did some television production for a while as well.
Interesting.
I've done a lot of audio as well, audio mixing and audio recording. I had my own like home studio for a while.
Yeah.
I was in a band for a long time.
Nice. Rock band, reggae,
punk
ska,
rock.
All right. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's fun, man. Yeah, I would have liked to have been in a band. I think it would be good. I was in more marching band, concert band, played the alto saxophone and stuff. So never quite the right add-on for a rock band. And I try to learn guitar and piano and stuff, but it's very difficult. You have to have very strong hands.
I think that once you power through the first like 3 months or so of guitar, it's like you just hit this like threshold where you're like, okay, I can actually kind of play now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is your muscles that you
Exactly.
have
I'm
to
still,
train.
and even just now,
Yeah.
I've been practicing just fingering, trying to get stronger. And yeah, I can almost kind of play,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
I'm going to excerpt that audio right there.
Oh yes, I said fingering. Yeah, it's all on the internet. So you're in a band, you're studying marketing. How do you hear about Bitcoin?
Well, this would already be years later after the band, but
Yeah.
at the time I was running a marketing company, and I'm pretty sure the first time I heard about it was something to do with like a Silk Road article. This was like in late 2012.
Sure.
And I just became interested. I was like, wow, people can buy drugs on the internet. Like, how is this possible? Started learning about Bitcoin, and just from day one, it was like hopeless. You know, I basically dived in and just went
Yeah.
deeper and deeper and deeper, just until I fully my whole life is Bitcoin now.
Nice.
You know.
Did you start a company? Did you go to work for a company? What'd you do?
No, in the early days, I just did the same things everybody do. You know, you mess around with trading, you mess around with investing your Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't have so many altcoins and shitcoins. It was more, we had like these stock exchanges and stuff
Sure.
that people would, a lot of them were Ponzi schemes, but there were some cool things. Like when ASIC miner came around, that was an interesting time.
Did you mine Bitcoin?
I mined Litecoin, actually.
Nice.
I started a little GPU farm at some point, and
Yeah.
I was mining Litecoin for a while.
Did it work out or did it blow up?
Yeah, no, it worked. Well, sometimes it blew up. Because
Yeah.
it was all like these open-faced computers sitting everywhere in my garage.
Sure.
And like you open the garage door and it's like, all you hear
right.
is fans, and it's like, 10 degrees hotter in there or something.
Yeah. Heat's always a problem for mining or even a home mine.
Yeah,
So,
and you go to like adjust something on one of them, and you're too lazy to shut off the computer, and then you end up frying a graphic card or something.
know. Yeah, I fried a 486 once. I plugged 2 keyboards in at the same time.
Oh, yeah?
And that was all it took.
Nice.
And I felt really stupid, but I managed to return the motherboard and get another one, so it's all right. But clearly my fault. But yeah.
Well, you can do 2 keyboards now, right? With
Now
USB.
you can.
Yeah.
This was a 9-pin DIMM, and then one of the graphics cards or something had a like PS2 keyboard. So in my mind, I was like, we'll get 2 keyboards, we'll play 2 games at the same time. And the computer disagreed. It was like some kind of mistake to do that. So
Yeah.
I might have done something else wrong too, but that was what I diagnosed it to.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I used to build all the computers back in the day.
I've built one or two from scratch, but that was a long time ago. Mostly now I just use it until it dies and buy a new one. I'll replace a power supply once in a while, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's harder and harder to actually want to go inside the computer, although every once in a while I'll put in another hard drive, my old Mac or something, something like that. It's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
But after you got into Bitcoin just a little bit, what'd you do next? Did you in Bitcoin?
I mean, in Bitcoin, I basically started participating more in communities after a while. I liked learning from people on IRC in the first few years and on Bitcoin talk forums.
Yeah.
And then kind of started hanging out with the people doing like the TeamSpeak, hanging out like on Whale Club and these things.
A lot of trading, a lot of signals and that kind of thing, yeah.
Then Twitter started becoming more important. Reddit kind of started dying off. Twitter started becoming more important. And around that time is when the pump to 20K was kind of starting. And that was when I started doing Exotica, the video platform.
Nice.
And then I did that for about 2 years, and about 6 months ago, I started talking to Sergey at Bitrefill, and started working at Bitrefill, and that's what I'm doing now.
Nice. So Exotica is kind of like a web chat thing where you could get paid to web chat with girls, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was basically for cam girls,
Bitcoin,
or video chat as they would call it in some countries.
Sure.
And it was just a way to give users more privacy and models a way to earn in Bitcoin. Still have the platform. I might revive it and do something with it in the future, but for now my main focus is Bitrefill.
Nice. And what do you guys do at Bitrefill?
Bitrefill is basically our slogan is live on crypto, and it just gives people ways to convert their cryptocurrency, mostly Bitcoin, into products and services through gift cards. We also offer cell phone top-ups, so people can recharge their mobile phones, and we provide cards and top-ups to basically every country in the world.
Wow.
And now we're also doing a lot of stuff getting involved with Lightning networking services.
Excellent. I heard you guys rushed to get Lightning Network on your platform. Everyone was working very hard.
Yeah,
get it out
we
on
got
time.
very early. We were supporting Lightning Network payments, and over the past 6 months or so, we've been adding various Lightning services. So people can buy channels from us. People can buy capacity from us. People can convert their Bitcoin from on-chain into Lightning Bitcoin through, and also we have the Turbo service, which makes it so you can have Bitcoin in your channel instantly, that is instantly spendable without waiting for confirmations.
Wow.
And then also, I guess this will be probably the first media announcement, but we have Thor API, which is basically we've converted all of these Lightning services into an API service.
Great.
So now other platforms can integrate our channel services into their platforms to make a more, better user experience for their users if they're not already like robust enough to manage their own liquidity. So
Cool.
now
So you're giving
wallets
back to the community, open source software, all that kind of thing?
Well, I wouldn't say giving back to the community because it is an infrastructure improvement, but it is a service.
Yeah.
So there is a fee that comes with it.
Sure.
But it provides a convenience. So if you're a wallet, for example, that wants to add Lightning to your wallet, now you have a way to remove some of the frictions by automatically having an API service that can connect you to a well-connected node. And so your customers, if they're connected to a Bitrefill node, they don't have to worry for the most part about whether their payments will fail because we're well connected and you have a constant source of liquidity and channels and Lightning Bitcoins.
So if you're a Bitcoin or wallet provider, and maybe you didn't want to spend the resources on Lightning and you said it was too hard, you're too busy adding shit coins to your app, and maybe you're saying things like Lightning Network is an altcoin. Now they could just use your API, pay a small fee, and easily integrate Lightning into their app. So they could do it easier and spend less time on it, and they could come back to Bitcoin, right?
Sure, and we also recently, as a test, we opened there's a channel size limit right now with Lightning, and we opened a large channel. So we opened a 1 Bitcoin and now a 2 Bitcoin channel with the guys at ACI and Q doing the Eclair implementation. And we're basically going to try to start setting up more people to open up large channels with us so we can get a little sub-network going to have a higher liquidity Lightning channels. So you'll see us soon opening channels with some exchanges and things like this. Exchanges are starting to dabble in Lightning. So things are accelerating. Everybody wants them to accelerate faster, but they're at a nice pace.
Yeah, I was just talking to Lalu from Lightning, and he talks so fast that everything did seem to go faster. And I asked him about the pressures of developing the network that people are using and people want to use, and he didn't feel much of the pressure to get it done. He's very level-headed, was working on it.
Yeah.
But what he did say is that having such an engaged and active community that wants something like Lightning gave him so much more support because he had testers and he had all these QA people that would volunteer and would do their own time, and he was able to put his code out to them and get it much more thoroughly tested than if he was just on his own or even if he just had a team at Lightning Labs.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement out there, and I think there's a lot of people that are helping pull the industry forward. That's one thing I really like about Bitrefill being involved with Lightning stuff is we're coming from the business side, from the commercial side. So our perspective on things is how can we make products and services that make all of this easier to use, and now we have this whole awesome environment of where we have these labs that are making sure the code is secure and building their own products. We have tons of cool Lightning wallets, various custodial spectrum, so that whatever you need, there's an option. I prefer the side of saying that let's make the reckless hashtag mean be reckless instead of don't be reckless.
Right.
But there are just as many other people that are telling people to be safe, and so there's a nice balance of people that are making sure Lightning is safe and people that are making sure that there's innovation happening on Lightning. And there's just a lot of hype and excitement, and I think as long as the energy is there, more gravity will come to the Lightning Network.
And I do think that will be a change from reckless to be reckless, but we just have to kind of wait. It's the thing needs to get adopted and tested and thorough'd, and then by the time, they won't even remember this early phase where they're yeah, just be very careful.
Yeah.
It'll be more it's pretty safe. It's like Bitcoin was. I mean, We were
Well, that's the
always
thing.
unsure if Bitcoin
I
was
kind
going
of
to
feel
go
like
down
it
or
was
whatever.
always this way, and it's just a little more apparent because now we have a new network and a new layer of people. It's a new community layer as well.
Yeah, yeah.
In Lightning, and everybody is like they don't want people to lose money because of some code that got released and used too early, which is totally understandable.
Yeah, yeah.
But the truth is that like Bitcoin is still risky. Like everything has risk to it, and
Sure.
I kind of feel like will never be safe to bring the current person's grandmother onto Bitcoin or Lightning or whatever the latest tech is, because the tech is always going to be moving faster than second, third generation speed, you know?
Sure.
And so it just becomes a question of the people that we're trying to get to use this technology. Do we think that we can educate them? Do we think that we can enable them by teaching them how to use it and what the risks are? And I think the answer is mostly yes. I mean, you know, the Lightning does have mostly limits in how much you can lose and what you can put at stake. So I think that as long as people understand what they're getting into, there shouldn't be too many fires to put out, you know.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your famous interview with Roger Ver. It was back during the Bitcoin Cash days. You had your Twitter account at Bitcoin Eralog, and you did a little YouTube video. It was live. I was watching it live, and Roger got a little heated at the end, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the heat of the whole SegWit 2x stuff, the UASF stuff, Bitcoin Cash, Big Block stuff. And so I had done an interview with Vinny Lingham, with Shinobi, and that went pretty well. And I think it became a good snapshot of the time.
Yeah.
And luckily everything played out the way we theoretically said it should play out. You know,
Yeah.
the UASF didn't even have to trigger. The miners capitulated. S2X failed.
Yep.
So things, you know, our logic played out. And the same thing is true with the interview with Roger. You know. Roger, I used to think he was much more evil than I think now, probably.
Yeah.
I think that maybe now I just think he's unethical. I think that he believes a lot of what he's saying and what he's doing, but he's willing to do too many things that are unethical, in my opinion, to promote that belief.
I never like the idea of confusing the brand Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. I've heard people say it's not a fork, it's a split. That's a better definition for what's happening. But there's all this brand confusion. People think Bitcoin Cash is a part of Bitcoin. They think that Bitcoin Gold is a part of Bitcoin. Whatever these things are, they're offshoots. But they're just as different as Coke and Pepsi. They're completely different.
Well, that's why I
companies.
started calling Bitcoin Cash counterfeit Bitcoins, because that's actually the definition that Roger chose for them. He could have just made a new network. He could have not tried to call it Bitcoin and tried to make it say, he didn't have to make the narrative be, this is the real Bitcoin.
No.
He could have just made it a new coin and said his differentiating aspect is that it's larger blocks.
We have a different way of going, and we're going to go our own way. But they didn't do that.
But if you make your narrative that you're the real Bitcoin or another Bitcoin, then you're basically printing Bitcoins. You know, these are counterfeit Bitcoins.
Yep.
And so people you have to convince people that they should buy literally, you know, not literally photocopied, but a facsimile of the original Bitcoin, and say buy these instead. And then if people believe that that's another Bitcoin, then there's no more argument about that Bitcoin is scarce. Because if anybody can just print another Bitcoin, then there's no scarcity. So it doesn't work. It becomes pointless. And the fact that they chose...
It's sad for someone like Roger, who did so much time promoting the real Bitcoin back in the day, going around telling people, investing in companies, all these things, for him to turn against Bitcoin and then basically betray all of his old work by causing this confusion, having Bitcoin.com talk endlessly about the other Bitcoin, the whole brand identity thing. I mean, it's great to own Bitcoin.com, but if you're going to start a new project, why not just get RogerCoin.com or whatever it's going to be, and brand it differently.
Well, the funny thing is that his ethics changed. Maybe we don't know if he was always this way, but his message didn't really change too much. What happened was we all kind of misunderstood Bitcoin a little bit in the early days, and some of us more than others. And he understood Bitcoin to be something that was instant and cheap to send, and you know, the qualities that really larger blocks with centralization would actually require to be true. But you know, when you're new in Bitcoin, and people tell you that it's anonymous and free and instant, and
Yeah.
you know, like, you don't know how to determine whether that's true. And when it behaves that way in practice, why wouldn't you believe it's true?
Sure.
But the truth
And
is,
it was cheap because no one was using it.
yeah.
And when people started using it, the fees had to go up, and that's what happened.
And he just decided to recreate that whole environment when he made Bitcoin Cash, because it's only cheap because nobody's using it. It's only fast because nobody's using it.
Sure.
And I really believe that if Bitcoin Cash reached some kind of point where it was getting a lot of people using it, that the design of it would end up having to resemble Bitcoin more and more as the value increased, because they would need better and better security. And
even yesterday, I was talking to one of the very few Bcash supporters I've ever met in person, and he was already wavering. He was like, yeah, maybe we should get the Lightning Network on Bcash, because then we could do the transactions for cheaper. And I was like, yeah, but you don't have SegWit, you don't have the infrastructure for this. And that was our entire argument, is that new technology is better. And change is difficult. Yes, Bitcoin changed, and there's going to be multiple layers to it, and there's all this new complexity that you either like or you don't like, and you leave the project or you stick with the project. Everyone's free to do what they want to do here.
yeah.
But they disagreed, and they disagreed harshly, and then they tried to steal the name and a bunch of other nonsense.
Well, now their incentives are all fucked up, because now they obviously had to, if they really believe what they're doing, and I think it's probably true they believe it, now you have entities that have a whole lot of Bitcoin Cash, so their incentives are really to make sure that Bitcoin Cash at least maintains a higher value than what they paid for it. So now Bitcoin Cash is basically in the business of promoting Bitcoin Cash until they can sell all their Bitcoin Cash at a profit.
That's always the way.
It's literally a product.
Yeah, you can't sell it all at once. You have to sell 10% at a time. You have to slowly move out, or you'll ruin the whole market, especially someone like Bitmain, who has this big negative thing on their balance sheet now. You own a bunch of this negative stock. You have to get rid of it. You have to try to even out your books, and at some point they're going to have to sell that nonsense. So.
And I don't know, they probably won't be happy until they see it back at like $10,000 again, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
I'm not sure. But so the actual argument with Roger seemed like you were using Bcash, which I think is just a shortened name for Bitcoin Cash. Other people think it's a slur. I disagree. I think the internet's all about brevity. I even think it's a good name. I would put it on hats and shirts and stuff.
That's what I said in the interview.
Put on hats and shirts. I think that marketing, branding, we're kind of on the same page here. It's a nice name. It's short. It's like 5
exactly
letters.
What I said. I said it's a nice name. And but no, I was not trying to trigger him. I mean, maybe I was trying to paint him into a corner on his arguments, and I was prepared to make arguments with him off of where his normal party line was. But I was not, the whole Bcash thing was not remotely of interest to me as part of my plan. It hadn't even really quite become a derogatory term yet. It was still on the cusp of that, and somebody did like a chop up of that interview where they chopped up how many times I said Bitcoin Cash properly and how many times I said Bcash. And I think I said Bitcoin Cash properly like 14 times. And I said Bcash like 3 times.
It's a mouthful. I mean, Bitcoin Cash. I mean, there's a lot of syllables. Just words. As the dude said, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. A lot of people are into brevity, man. But I watched it, and it was fun to watch, and it was kind of fun because it became a meme. Roger gave you the middle finger. It's very rude, and it's sad to see him lose his composure. Like, we're not here to just endlessly beat on Roger. Everyone has a bad day. They have a bad interview. He's very emotional about Bitcoin Cash, and he believes it's really the thing. And he was very emotional about Bitcoin too back in the day. So I appreciate his emotions, but you can also see how sometimes they get out of control.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't appreciate his emotions personally. I mean, in the end, it didn't bother me, but in the end, he really was flipping me off. He was being disrespectful. He was not having like any kind of like realistic human debate with me. And then his response when everybody was making fun of what happened was to apologize to the community. He never apologized to me. He hasn't really talked to me since. I don't care. I've tried to kind of troll him into new things to try to see if I can get Bitcoin.com from him since then. But I think the reality of it is, somebody said to me, and at the risk of sounding too egotistical, I do appreciate what they said, which they said was, after your interview with Roger, nobody should interview him anymore. Like, because at that point, he had already lost all his face, and there was no more arguing to be done.
Sure.
SegWit 2X had failed. Like, it was just, everything was just over.
Yeah.
And now every subsequent interview with him is more, he's the only one with something to gain. Because the interviewer either has to recreate, another situation where Roger makes a fool out of himself,
Sure.
and everybody already knows he's a fool,
Yeah,
so what's the
yeah.
point? So why even give him airtime anymore? I just think that, like, Bitcoiners just stop talking to Roger, and it's just a waste of time at this point.
That's pretty much, I mean, I still have, person and all that. I would say hello and all that, but I'm polite. But yeah, I had a nice long interview with him at the beginning of the scaling drama. And my goal there was really to give him the floor. Like, I wanted his side of the argument. I want the strongest, best argument. I asked, questions to try to explore his argument, try to not break it apart, just to unravel and to have it all there. And in subsequent interviews with Peter Todd and Eric Lombroso and Jimmy Song and all these other people, they're like, no, I just completely disagree with what Roger said. I think we have a better, different way of doing it. And I found their evidence and their explanation to be much more convincing than his evidence and explanation. So.
I think the only reason to talk to him anymore is to see if you can negotiate with him to either make his messaging less deceptive, or to see if somebody can find some way to negotiate with him to get the Bitcoin.com proper and other Bitcoin properties he has from him. There's nothing else of value there, in my opinion.
Well, we'll see. And Roger, if you want to point Bitcoin.com to World Crypto Network, we always welcome the traffic. But yeah, it was some good times and some interesting interviews back there. Anything else you'd like to say, John, about Bitrefill? People can try it at bitrefill.com, stuff like that?
Sure, yeah, bitrefill.com if you want to have a place to be able to spend your crypto. Keep an eye on us with more products and services, more stuff with Lightning. We'll have some press releases in the coming, I don't know when this is airing, but we'll have some press releases in the coming week about some new projects we're involved with and some new services. So just keep an eye on us. We're not going anywhere. We're only going to be scaling things up and doing our best to help the world of Bitcoin come closer to its inevitable circular economy moment.
And where can people follow you on Twitter and other places? Yeah?
You can find me on Twitter as @BitcoinErrorlog. You can find me there on Telegram as well. That's about it. Otherwise, I've just been doing some appearances on shows. I might start to do some content on my own somehow, somewhere. I want to talk more about business topics to do with Bitcoin.
Well, sounds great. And thanks so much for the interview, John.
Thanks for having me, man. Good to see you again.